Welcome everybody, welcome to today's video. I am Jack with My Girl Budgeting, and on today guys we are doing our budgeting 101. As some of you know, I started a series to get this process of beginning to budget, and so this is things that I've learned to do, things that I still do, and things to hopefully help you guys in the process of getting your budgeting started, finding your way to get out of debt, whether it's to pay off debt, whether it's to buy a new home, things that will help you along the way. And by no means is this a way a professional giving you this, but it is my own experience in what I did. So I would love for you guys to follow along and also just take these steps to hopefully help guide you in what works for you, what is best for you, and also trial and error. That's the best way I can put it, is you do trial and error to get through the process of starting your own budget and finding the kinks that don't work for you and taking them out, and then also getting it put in place where you can actually find things that do work for you. So it's just eliminate the things that don't work and keep those things that do work, but also just start the process of budgeting yourself. So with that being said guys, I would love for you guys to hit that subscribe if you are new to my channel, coming across this video and just taking part. That way you guys can take this journey with me. I myself am working on budgeting myself and holding myself accountable, and with that I do fund savings, budgeting myself, and also things within the community of YouTube and budgeting that keep me toward that guiding light of becoming debt free. So with that, let me go ahead and get where we were last week. Let's do just a quick recap from episode 1, and that way you guys can see where you left off. Okay, so as far as where we left off, so let me see, throw myself off. So we did go through a list of six things that you could do to start that process of elimination, and that is, I'm just going to give you a quick rundown, and then we'll jump into today's list of categories or items that we're going to discuss on episode 2. So it is, number 1 was list out your income. So you did that as part of your homework, and you did, list out your income, whether it's your day-to-day job, whether it's money, side hustle money, whether you do Uber, Lyft, anything that sell on marketplace, garage selling, whatever you do for income, list those items out. Then you list all your debt out, give you a list of those categories so you can know exactly what you need to pay off. Then we have a list of fixed expenses, which are typically your utilities, groceries, insurance, gas, rent, things that are on a constant basis, so especially like month-to-month basis. Variable funds are basically you get to spend money. You're spending money, so you have your variable funds, whether it's money you set aside for restaurants, shopping, maybe makeup you do purchase, maybe hair, nails, things that aren't a necessity, but they are more of a want. And then future funds. So future funds are the things that you want to start sinking, like a sinking funds. Basically, these are all majority sinking funds, but this is probably going to be your high priority, whether it's you looking for a new home, new car, or going on a vacation, extravagant vacation. Those are future funds. So things that, especially like a home deposit, car deposit, you know, things like that. You want to try to buy off cash, right? Rather than have a finance. And then number 6 is a fallback fund. This is usually your emergency funds. You know, if you do the baby steps of Dave Ramsey, you do the 1,000 as emergency fund, and then you move from that as your number 1. And then unknown funds, you need just the things that are unknown. And then and so those are going to be the things that you put into a category. So that is just to recap what we did on our last episode of Budgeting 101. So now we're going to jump back into, and yes, I know I went backwards on my sheet. So on the next thing we're going to tackle is how to start cash stuffing. So this is going to be based on, and on the last episode I did discuss as well those categories. There was 3 or 4 categories, 4 types of budgeting that you could utilize. And you know, I told you guys to go through each of these 4 categories and see the ones that, you know, fit you. I mean, just look at them, review them, go Google them, go see how they work. But I gave you a rundown of that, and it was the 50-30-20 rule. We had the 60% solution budgeting, and then we have reverse budgeting, and then we have the zero-based budgeting, which this is the one I utilize. This is where I've seen a lot of people utilize this one. I have never really tackled these 3, but I would suggest you guys always try what works for you and test them out. See if, let's say you try that first month, let's do the 50-30. See if you get the concept, and then learn it, and then see if it's too, you know, overwhelming for you, or if it just seems like it's just too much to try to do that. Move on to the next one, try that one, and then try all of them, and whatever one fits you works best. But I am on the zero-based budgeting. So with that, this is where we come into episode 2 so we are doing the zero-based budgeting. And so these are things that you guys can utilize for yourself, okay? And I'm going to write them out here on this one, just so as a clean slate kind of just so you guys could see me writing it out. And where is all my notes? I had a bunch of note paper, and now I don't see my notes. Oh, here. No, that's not it either. No. Oh, here they are. They're on a separate page. Okay, so we're going to jump into this one. So I'm just going to categorize these. Let me see, guys. Let me come here. Okay. One more thing. Okay, so for the zero-based budgeting, okay, so first is, these are just easy, you know, steps, just easy steps to start this whole process of zero-based budgeting. Okay, so first is going to be your income for the month. So it's going to be your income for the month, or weekly or bi-weekly, however you get paid. But when you're in the beginning phases, you do want to get what you make in a month, especially if you're like a 980 employee where you get paid, work 40 hours a week, and you get a same income each week or bi-weekly or however you get paid. You know that income is going to be the same unless you do overtime, and you know that fluctuates, right? So your income for the month for the month minus your expenses, including your giving and savings. Okay, so that is basically like the first step. That is the whole thing, that's start to finish. You have your income, you minus your expenses and your savings and your giving, if you are at a part where you can start this giving part. Typically, at the beginning I would start with $1, and then eventually you can build it up as time goes on, but giving is part of the baby steps that you take part in. And so when you gather all of these, so it's going to be your income minus expenses minus your savings and minus your giving to equal out to zero-based budgeting. Okay, so that is how you plan out your income. Okay, and it should always equal zero. I'm not saying like all of your money is like, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna have no money to live. No, that is where your expenses and your savings come into play, guys. So say you, like an easy one, if you're familiar with Donna Power by Creativity, she has freebies out there on her folder, just like all of us, a majority of us do. But if you go to hers, and an easy one that she has is a $30 savings, and it's a Bugs Bunny. And basically what you do is you get the amounts that are allotted for each of the dollars that are on there. So it's like tens, fives, and ones. And anytime you can save a 10, you add that 10 to it, and I could be wrong, it could be different amounts, but you put that $10 and there it is, and it's a $30 savings, so that's $30. Okay, say you're going to use that $30 to just because you want to have it as spending money at the end of when you finish it. Okay, you get that $10, and the next time you add 5 and you add 1 and so on until you hit that 30. Then you know that you can use that money to pull from, but it's part of your savings. Okay, or if you do your expenses, your variable expenses, the variable expenses are the ones that allow you to have spending money. So that is what money you put, whether you're weekly, monthly, bi-weekly, pay employee, you put your variable expenses into your wallet, and that is what you get to be able to spend for yourself, whether it's shopping, whether it's, going and getting your nails done for that week, or, for anything miscellaneous that you want to incorporate because you want to have spending money. That is how you use that concept. Okay, then you want to prioritize your important things that you need to make sure. Okay, so basically so we have the formula, okay, to get to your zero. To start it, you have to prioritize the important things first. And that is whether you pay your mortgage. So if you're monthly and you have your rent coming due on the 1st of the month, and so that is basically what it is. It is your four walls, your food, your shelter, your utilities, and your transportation. Okay, so prioritize the important things. So number 1 is the 4 walls, which are your home. You always want to make sure you're paying that on. Okay, your home, You want to make sure you have your food. You want to make sure you have, you know, your utilities. And then your transportation. And these, you know, vary, you know, depends on where you are in your life. You know, you may not have transportation, but you are working toward transportation, or you have a car note that you have to pay. You have to prioritize that. You have utilities because we need water, electricity, and gas as our, you know, main utilities. You of course have to eat to survive, and the four walls, of course, is your home. Okay. And then you want to also, this is a good time to get your 3 months bank statements. Okay. Those are where you're going to, this is going to help you on your spend. Okay. So you're going to track your transactions. Okay. And this, to track, it is very important that you track those transactions, guys, because this is going to help you eliminate those things that you see you're spending, you know, see where your money is going to. I mean, I will say it's very eye-opening when you do actually go and grab your bank statements and you start highlighting the different categories. So I highlight, and I even have it in my budget starting kit that I have on my Etsy, and it's basically you lay out all of the categories on your bank statement. So you have your bills, you have your expenses, you have whether you're dining out, your groceries, your gas, your medical, if there's anything that comes under medical, your subscriptions. Those are the things that you jot down to track your spending, and you see where your money is being spent. That you know, this is where you can come back. I will say dining was a major spend for me, major. And when I started looking at my 3 months of bank statements, and I started looking at what I was spending a month just to eat out, that is where I started taking note that those are the things I need to cut out. Okay, because I can't remember right off the bat how much I was spending on dining out, but it was pretty amazing how much money I was spending when I could have probably bought me, you know, groceries with that money, and, you know, probably could have made it at home rather than going out and buying it. Yes, and I know it's so much easier just to eat out, and this is where meal planning plays a factor in those you know, when you start cutting back on those costs. You know, we always have to pay our bills, and we always, you know, we have to have our transportation, we have to, you know, and things to, and as far as entertainment too, is you look at your entertainment, you're like, oh my gosh, like how many times did I go to the movies this month, or how many times did I, you know, spend things that I could have probably done at home, and which I've done, guys. I've gone probably to a movie, and I used to go to movies all the time, and I would spend money at the movies because I would buy the popcorn, the whole setup, you know. And I haven't been to a movie. I went once, and that was to go see Deadpool when it came out, but it hadn't been in probably a year because I cut my movie costs because I was seeing how much money I was spending. And what I decided at that point was, like, I have streaming. I have Netflix, I have Prime, I have all, you know, different streaming, you know, subscriptions, and I watched movies from there. I made it a movie night for myself. I was like, okay, well, tonight's a movie night. I'm gonna go home and I'm going to enjoy my movies at home. And that's what I did. Yes, you get to cut back on your costs, and yet, you know, some people feel like, oh my gosh, I can't be at home all the time. And that's sacrifice that you have to consider when you do cut those costs off when you start tracking your transactions and you see where you're spending your money, those are the sacrifices you're going to make in order to get yourself out of debt. Plain and simple. It is, if you want the system to work for you, you have to be willing to work the system. And so that is where you will have to come back. And I'm telling you guys, I was a big FOMO person. Anytime anybody was having some kind of event, some kind of function, some kind of anything, my friends or family were inviting me somewhere out, I was like, I'm ready to go. Let's go, And I had to cut that back. It was like, okay, how much is it going to cost me? Those are the things you start looking at and thinking about whenever you go into your budget. And you start thinking like, is it really worth it for me to go and hang out, at a restaurant, have a few drinks with friends or whatever? Is it really worth it for me to spend that $40-50 that night when I could use that $40-50 to play off, the important things? Is it worth it? Could I use that $40 and $50 to pay off a credit card on my debt? Is it worth it? And that's the sacrifice that I made because, and I will say, FOMO, big time FOMO. FOMO was a big factor in my life, okay? And now it's just, and even to this day, some people invite me places to go and I don't go. I tell them I can't, and that's where the whole your weird kind of concept comes from on Dave Ramsey, is because they're like, and you do start talking about budgeting. I'm not gonna lie, guys, I talk about it with everybody, on all my friends and my family, and I'm like, I'm on a budget, guys. I'm on a budget. Oh my gosh, you and your budget. Like, yes, but I know it's gonna pay off at the end whenever I get my credit cards paid off, when I get my home paid off early, when I get my car paid off. Those things are going to pay off because I said no. I never wanted to say no, and now I am redundantly saying no. So those are the things you have to consider, guys, is that it is a sacrifice. It is a sacrifice to cut back and not have FOMO. I would go crazy on FOMO because, and this goes into a play for another thing that I cut back. So, of course, we have social media, whether we have Facebook, whether we have YouTube, whether we have other means to connect with your friends, family, whatever. Honestly, I completely cut myself off of social media. I completely do not look at social media. And I'm saying not social media in the aspect of, I don't go and look at what my friends are doing this weekend. I don't go and see what my best friend could be, doing this time of day. Or I don't go and see what, event I might be missing out on. I do not. If that was your social, welcoming, or you were a social butterfly in that way, and I was, guys, I'm telling you, I was out, and everybody was like, hey, Jack is in town, Jack is here, Jack is out, let's go hang out, I will say, I had to cut social media in that way out of my life, and that was a sacrifice, and it helped me, guys, because I wasn't seeing what everybody was doing, or people that were inviting me to those things, and I wasn't going, I wasn't watching those things, and it helped me not to be in cave to that. And so as time progressed, as I stopped going on, and you guys, I will say, I post on my Facebook, and my Facebook is budgeting stuff, what I'm doing within budgeting, whether it's my YouTube, whether it's my Etsy, whether it's Instagram. Those are the things I use. I have my separate accounts for like Instagram, my personal, and then I have my girl budgeting account for Instagram. My personal, I go and I'll look at some things, especially whenever it comes to my daughter posting about my granddaughter. That's when I go on there. But as far as like me going on there to go and just watch people's what they're doing, it's very hard for me to. Not very hard for me. It was at the beginning because I didn't want. I had to FOMO, but now it's so much easier. Now I'm like, okay, I'm not. What is it? I'm not. Oh my gosh, what is it? It's not. It's like at the tip of my tongue. But I'm not, willing to go to those things because I cut back those costs. Okay, so just keep that in mind when you start tracking your expenses. You look at your transactions from your bank statements, and you look at those things that you will look at it and you'll say, my gosh, I spent that money. I could have spent it towards something else to get myself out of this, chaotic debt that I have. And so that's where you can, start utilizing those ideas, right? Okay? And so when you do start that process, then you cut back, but also you start tracking those your spending when you have allotted money to those things. Okay, so say you have your month income, and say it's $1,000. Okay, you have $1,000. Your bills are, say, $400. I write 4,000. That means you have 1,000 minus 400 is $600. So now you have, you want to give money, right? So you want to say you're giving money of $100 for that. And then you have, so that's 1,000 minus 400, 600 minus 100, which gives me 500. So that means you have 500 in savings. Okay? So 500 savings. Now you look at this and you're like, okay, so now I have 500 in savings. I'm going to break it down further. Okay? So 500 in savings. You go and put your wallet expenses, your variable expenses, okay? So your variable expenses can vary because you're either buying your groceries, your gas, your shopping, your miscellaneous, whatever you want to do with your wallet. Have your categories in your wallet. I have my main categories are my groceries, my fuel, my shopping, and that's if I do feel like I want to buy something, and that is the money I use to spend. So if it's $20 for that week, that's all I use to spend. If I go to a Dollar Tree and buy me something, then I use that money, and that's whenever I've spent it. I don't plan to shop anymore. And then my other categories are my pets, my fur babies. So if anytime they need something, I do have that on a weekly basis. And then I also have a miscellaneous, so that's anything like, and then I'll have dining, okay? So say those items all came out to, and typically for me, it's about $250 that I use in my variable expenses that go into my wallet. That means that's 500 minus 250 gives me 250 that I can put towards savings or giving. Or no, we already did giving here, okay? And then savings, save, and then variables, okay? This is bills. This is just an example, guys. of how to get that to that zero. So now we have $250 in savings. So now you start the process. Maybe you have 4 different envelopes, and I say start small, guys. Don't go and, like, I know a lot of us have made, you know, a ton of different savings that we do. Do not overwhelm yourself with that. You will get there. I will say you will get there, because I did the same thing, guys. I would look at, you know, like, golly, like they have a lot to save. Different categories, different kinds of savings that they're working on. And I started small. I started probably with a good 4 or 5 envelopes or savings that I was working on. I'm trying to find mine. Maybe it's in this one. No, it's not in this one. Bear with me, guys. Bear with me. Okay, so this one. So this is an old one. So these are all the different savings I was doing at one point in time. I can't remember when this was. But I had them categorized. So I did my milestone video, which some of you have noticed. I do have a milestone video of savings. And that was how I broke. So I had $250 in savings, okay? So I would break down each of these categories. Hope you guys can see that. I would break down each of these and say this was $40, $39, $74, and $115, and say that did total of $250. So then I broke it down even further, because this one has 74, so now I'm going to be putting 74 to each of these savings. Now those savings are starting to build wealth, okay? You're building wealth for those savings, because at the end of the day, you're going to put these into your sinking funds. Whether you're starting to, you know, you want to make sure you have your emergency fund. You want to make sure you have your anything with medical. You want to make sure you have for Christmas, your holidays. Those are things that this money will go toward only until it is completed. So let's go back to that Bugs Bunny, $30 you're saving. Say you're not putting it in your wallet, because you've already put $250 towards your wallet, so now you have $250 towards your savings. You have $30, and you got your 10, your 15, your ones, whatever it was to get to that $30 on that Bugs Bunny. You color in your little dollars, you make it fun. This is where we get to tap into our childhood again of coloring, guys. I love it. But you complete that savings, and that means you get to, whether you ring the bell, because we do the ring the bell, because we completed a saving. But now you can move that money into one of those sinking funds. Now you can put that $30 towards your $1,000 savings, or you put it towards your Christmas, or you put it towards your, you know, your nails, your hair, you put it toward each month of these dollars gets assigned to a sinking fund. This is the way I do it. You know, it might not work for you guys. Maybe you decide, well, anytime I complete a challenge, I'm going to pay off a credit card. Or once I hit $500, I'm going to put it on towards something else. Entirely up to you guys, but this is the way I do it. I complete my savings and I put it towards my sinking funds, whether it's my emergency, whether it's my jelly bean, and that is my granddaughter. That is what I refer to my granddaughter as. She's a jelly bean, and I put her little, money towards hers, because it might be money I use to spend for her, because at the end of the day, I do have a Christmas fund that I'm going to use toward her, or her birthday, or things that I want to buy her. Like if I go on Amazon and I see a cute little outfit, that money is for that. Okay, so those are things that you take into consideration whenever and so you put your $250 and you break it down into each of your categories. And I'm telling you guys, start small. Do not do this until you feel like you understand how to break it down. Okay, you have your 10 items, and don't even look at it. You have your $40 that I'm saving here. Okay, then you can you know, play with the 40, the 250 here, and say you have your 10, whatever it may be, and it's your what it's important to you, what you feel like you need to save toward, or you know, you want to do those free savings that we have, you know, throughout the community. Go grab those. You do not have to go and purchase a lot of savings from us. We appreciate it. It's much appreciated when you guys do purchase those Etsy savings. But if you are starting your budgeting, go to other channels. I suggest doing that. Go subscribe to those channels. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe, guys. Yeah, and it helps those channels, and you get to know those channels, but also you get to understand more and more of the budgeting. You get to learn from other people how they do things, and what they're doing you might like better than what I'm doing, and that's completely fine. This is what we are here for, is to help each other, because we need to do better with our money, and it will pay off. We should be able to live financially, you know, stable, financially able, you know. So this is, and go get those freebies. I have some in my Google Drive listed down in my description box, guys. Go get those. I have a penny savings, I have coin savings, I have different savings, even I have fall savings, one you can just use, and you color it in and you don't touch it until you complete it, and it may take you months. I'm telling you, some of these have been taking me months to finish, but I'm not touching the money, that the envelopes that they're in. The money is accumulating, and once I'm done, I'll move it over to something else. So those are things that you can start prioritizing to get yourself those a sinking fund started. Okay, just and so what we come to at this point is, after you've done that, you got your, and now you are at a zero based. Okay, this takes time, guys. This takes time to really understand it, and as it goes, you try it. You give yourself at least 90 days to put this into play. Give yourself those 30 months, those 3 months, those 90 days. Okay? That first month will be you'll have that. So you give yourself 90 days. The first month is going to be the you know, the problems, the troubles, you know, it's going to give you trouble. Okay? And you're going to feel like, oh, this isn't worth it. It's only month 1, guys. 30 days. You have to learn the mistakes. You have to make those mistakes to learn them, and then by second month, you work them out. Work out those kinks. Okay? Eliminate those problems that didn't work in the first month, right? And it gives you the insight to now. The first month gives you insight into the problems, and then the second month gives you ways to make better adjustments. Okay? By the third month, you will start seeing the solution. Okay? You will be able to solve those issues. You will be able to have those adjustments and make better decisions in your planning, in your monthly planning, guys. This is all time management. It is planning. It is organizing yourself. It is finding ways to help you. And by that third month, you will have a better understanding of why we budget. You will have a better understanding of your finances, and your fear lessens more and more each time. And you start seeing progress. But you have to make those steps. And you have to follow along the path to righteousness, right? That is the only way we're going to be able to get out of debt. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, guys. It is a lot of information, and feel free to give me your insight. And feel free to give me questions, guys. I don't mind. If I can answer them, I'm going to. If you need my help, if you want to say you saw a savings on mine, that I have out there, and you're like, okay, how do I start this? Email me, guys. I do not mind it. I live for the comments. I live for your guys' input on it, because we are all here on a journey to become better with our money, to get out of that fear of money and have a better relationship, right? So feel free to reach out to me. I don't mind. I'm here. This is something I'm very passionate about. Everybody who knows me now, well, not knows me now, but who has known me forever, but also who sees me and they're like, hey, let's go hang out and do this. And I'm like, budget doesn't fall in my budget, guys. I can't do it. That's me now. So, and it will be you one day. And when you're telling people, oh my gosh, if you just start this process, it will eliminate so much of your headache, so much of the problems. So many times where I've heard people tell me, I don't have money. I'm broke. I don't have money. We're not going to have no money. It eliminates that, because you do have money. You have money in those little binders. We have our fun little savings that we do here. I have my money for Halloween. This is going to be a fun, it's a fun savings that I'm doing, and I enjoy it and I love it, because Halloween is like one of my favorite, if not my favorite. And so those things, and you guys learn the process. You will learn it. You will enjoy it. I will say it becomes addictive. But please, pace yourself. Always pace yourself. Do not overwhelm yourself. Take it time by time, step by step. And, say that first week I'm going to start that process of tracking my income. Okay? That first step that I gave you. Track your income. And you're going to say, okay, I'm going to see how much money I actually do bring in. And you're like, okay, here's my paycheck for the week. But then, the next day, well, shoot, I just sold, some shoes, on Facebook or eBay or wherever you want to sell them. And I made $40, or hey, I had a garage sale this weekend and I made $100. Those things, track your income. Take that as day one. Take that as step one to start that process. Then by the next, when you've calculated that, then you start looking at your bank statements. Pull your bank statements and say, okay, now we got to figure out where I put everything in place. Get a calendar. Write your bills out, where they fall. All your bills. You got your debt, income, subscriptions, bills. And highlight them. Get a calendar. Even if it's a printout. Even if it's you make your own calendar. I mean, majority of people always have a calendar on hand. So use that to track your bills. And then you can start that process. All it takes is just having the patience and be ready to take that sacrifice. And it pays off, guys. I do not stress as much as I used to about money. Yes, I would love to be able to go and spend my money that I have all saved up. I would so dig into it. I would go to town if I could. But I am having restraint. I am giving myself goals to help me get out of debt and into a better financial stand in life. So guys, I know this is pretty long. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. But let's go ahead and give you homework. Okay guys, let's get started. I'm going to have in my description a little budget sheet, Google Drive, okay, that you can download. And it's going to give you basically a budget sheet, and it's just going to be like a practice run of you tracking your stuff, okay? And make sure you guys print out your statements. If you don't want to do a month, 3 months, do a month, okay? Just start looking at your statements and seeing where you're spending your money, and then but do a practice run for yourself and say, okay, so far I made $500, and start, okay, well now I have my mortgage coming up, I need to pay. Okay, let me put that out. You know, just start jotting down, pen to paper. You will become a pen to paper person. I'm telling you. I stopped writing, and for the longest time, because I never wrote. I haven't written since before I started budgeting. It had been years. I always signed my name. But when I started this process, I learned how to write again. But yeah, guys, so just take that with you and let that be your homework. Use that budget sheet to start that process. Get your list of homework that you worked on last week and apply it. Remember, it's going to be your income minus your expenses, minus your savings, minus your giving. And your expenses can be your bills and your wallet. Let's call it that, okay? So it's much easier to know that you have to pay your bills, whether it's streaming, whether it's a credit card that you need to pay. You income minus your expenses minus your savings, and if you can do that, put it aside. Put that $1 aside. Put it in an envelope that says to give, and put it away. Just put that $1 if you can. Don't stress yourself if you can't do it, because this is something you can always build toward. And then you should always end up at a zero-based budgeting. Okay, guys? So look for that Google Drive in the description and take that as homework for this video. I'm going to go ahead and shove off, guys. Give you back your day. And I know it's late that I'm going to be releasing this video, but I had a long day at work, and I wanted to make sure I got this video out ready for you guys, because this is very important to me, and I think this can become very important to you. And if not already, you can get you on that road to become a budgeter yourself. So I'm going to go ahead and give you back your time, and let's go ahead and use that hashtag 0. Let's do a 0 for the hashtag today, guys. If you watched up to this point, use that hashtag. That lets me know you guys watched all the way and supported. Much love to you all, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.